What's up? It's Jobringus. It's currently the evening of November 27th as I'm recording this video. I have made, a bit of progress since the last time, but not an enormous amount. I was hoping that I could get the chance to get to 80 runecrafting this month, and I did not do that. I got to 73. Basically, that's the very start of 73, so I'm like just under a million experience there, meaning I have just under a million to go before I level up further, or before I get to 80, I mean. So that's still another probably like 30 hours of runecrafting at the pace I go. I haven't been playing like a ton this month. A lot of it was going to depend on how much I was going to play over the Thanksgiving holiday, and the answer to that was not too much. But I decided to mix things up for a change. I didn't really feel like runecrafting tonight, and I wanted to have some fresh content for the video. So here I am crafting some, or cutting some gems. This is something I've talked about in the past, that like if silver bars never get cheaper, I might just switch to cutting gems. And right now, emeralds and sapphires pretty cheap in terms of GPXP to do so. An alternate, if I wanted to make a lot of money but have it go like abysmally slowly, then I could go with I could like do gold bars into amulets, but that would really be slow. Like that would be something around 2 GP per XP, maybe even better. But again, that's like such a slow. I think silver jewelry, I think silver unstrung symbols, well, tiaras are pretty much the same experience. I think that's already like 50k an hour, which is pretty slow. Really only acceptable if it's like very AFK, which it is. I mean, I have like a couple clicks per hour if I do that, which makes it ideal if I really don't want to be paying attention to the game. But then you switch that to gold, it's the same method. So it's pretty much suffices to say that it's like 30k XP per hour. You guys hear my neighbor's annoying dogs? Maybe you can't. You're lucky if that's the case. Then it's like 30k XP per hour, and that's like, again, it's if I'm doing that in time where I'm really not paying attention, then I guess it's okay. But that has to be like inefficient compared to just like cutting gems. Oops, I picked up a sapphire instead of an emerald. That's fine. I bought both these stacks for the purpose of cutting. So I think with how much XP I banked, sapphires, that's 500k. Emeralds are, what is that, 670k. So that'll get me to, I think, 88 crafting with this pile. Cutting gems is pretty quick, so I'm probably just going to do this over the next like maybe 2 play sessions, tonight plus another night, and then wrap that up, and hopefully prices haven't gone too far in my face and I can lock in a reasonable XP rate for these gems. But even if not, it's just not the worst thing in the world. Again, it's pretty cheap. If you consider like these emeralds, I'm getting something like 1 GP per XP, so it's really just not that bad. 10 million crafting XP to go. It's not the worst in the world. One thing I was kind of doing the math on, right now high alching is still one of my best money makers I've talked about in the past, and that is one thing that I did sneak in quite a bit of this month. You'll see my magic level went from 81 to 83. I don't remember if it was like a low or a high 81 before, but it's basically like a mid 83 right now. So that's something like 4 to 500k experience. I guess if I really started at the beginning of the level, it could be maybe as much as like 600k experience. Probably somewhere around like 500k, which is a lot of high alchs if you do the math on it. And that's because I did do a lot of high alchs. I mean, nice. I probably did, let's see, something like 1500 Lumbridge teleports with my runecrafting, and you know that's like 60k XP, but you know that still leaves a lot of high alks, which made me pretty good money so far. And I was doing the math on if I really just am looking at XP to 99, then I actually, with how much magic XP I get for runecrafting XP, you know, if I were just to go to 99 runecrafting, it's like a little, it's like a little less than 5 to 1 of runecrafting XP to magic XP for, you know, because I get an average of, let's say, like 184 runecrafting XP per inventory, and then 41 XP per teleport. So that works out to be almost exactly 4.5. You know, there's some fudge numbers here and there. So sure, let's say like 4.5. That means if I need 12 million runecrafting XP, I don't know, I'll round the number and I'll say that that's like what 2.8 million magic XP or something. I don't know, it's up there. It's almost 3 mil magic XP that I'd be getting. So if I really just cared about like 299 XP, like I'm already getting close to 3 mil magic XP. So I don't need to do all that much more from like alking. I mean I do, but you know, it's less than I need to think about. And also if I'm alking while I smith, which I probably would alk most of my addy plate bodies if I do that, which I plan to do, then you know that's a lot of alks just coming from smithing as well. So I don't need to. I guess what I'm saying is I don't need to basically buy like rune items on the GE and alchem like for my magic XP. However, because it's such a profitable thing for me to do, especially if I were to sneak it in and make it like 0 time, but even if I don't, you know, it's such a profitable thing for me to do that it really, like might be worth for me to go significantly post 99 on magic. And I'm not sure, probably post 99 magic would be better than post 99 like smithing, because they're both like pretty cash stack intensive. It's hard to say, and I mean I could definitely like, there would be synergy for me to make rune two-handers and then alch my own two-handers. So that's something to keep in mind. The one thing about alching that is nice is, you know, I haven't like really talked about this, but I haven't done a lot of beginner clues. I want to say maybe like 30. I think it would be cool if I did actually go for the 600. I think it's 600 for the whatever the remote reward is. I want to say it's the emote. Maybe it was some cosmetic. It's one of these, right? No, that's 300 hard clues. Yeah, there we go. 600 beginner clues for a reward. So I do think it would be pretty cool to do that. And even at the fastest, I think if you're really fast, you have all the teleports and the right inventory setup, then I think with goblins it's like 20 clues an hour. Maybe it was like 15 clues an hour. I forget. It's something around there. It's like low double digits. So that's a lot of hours of doing clues. And that, since that involves like a decent bit of teleporting and running around, it seems like a pretty good opportunity to do a lot of like high alking and effectively 0 time, you know, if we think about that as like another goal. So I might certainly save some like for that kind of grind. I find, you know, like loot box opening videos in RuneScape as fun as the next guy. And since there is a small audience on this account, you know, maybe I'll save up like all the caskets it takes for me to get to 600 beginner emotes or beginner clues for the emote, and then we'll see if I, get all the uniques. I don't remember where collection log lives, but I think I have very few items. Let's see, yeah, sandwich lady top and bare feet. So I got like, no, oh, did that actually say my clues? 24 clues completed. Yeah. So that's basically how that goes. Long way to go, and that would constitute like a whole grind on its own. But not too bad. Anyways, I don't remember if any like major plans with the account have really changed. Oh, and I'm here in Camdazol just because I like to mix up the scenery. I think it's boring if all my thumbnails look exactly the same, and I do like to mix it up for my own enjoyment as well. I don't know that I'll ever return to Camdazol for anything really besides hanging out at the bank chest. I did train a decent bit of my combat stats early on in Camdazol. Actually, I did a lot of stuff in Camdazol early on because the Baronite Mace was a good thing to collect early on. I mean, for me, it's not the same as an Iron Man, where the Baronite Mace is like a great alternative to the Scimitar if you don't want to grind for 89 smithing at like early levels of your account. But I did some early fishing and prayer in Camdazol. It was like pretty AFK to do so, and Camdazol was brand new, so I really wanted to check it out. Camdazol was part of the reason that I started this account in the first place, just because it seemed really, cool and interesting that there was a new free-to-play quest and area. So I trained a bunch of like the early cooking, fishing, and prayer levels in Camdazol, which actually stopped being AFK after a little bit. Once you can catch like 3 types of fish, then you're suddenly like clicking a bunch for really poor XP rates. I wish the XP rates weren't so poor. They're just like not good enough to be viable. Even though the prayer rate isn't like the worst in the world, it's still pretty bad. Um, and it's like definitely worse than Boneyard. I don't know how it compares to like giant frogs or something, or like hill giants, but it's got to be pretty bad. And the fact that you have to like gut these fish and then offer them, it's just really annoying to you're basically taking extra time to earn such marginal cooking XP. Like, I wish I could just simply offer the fish. And the fishing XP is really bad too. But I did get a lot of, I think it's like not a terrible moneymaker at a low level especially for like an iron, because the, I think it's the handle. Yeah, the handle, I'm pretty sure it's just like common. I got a lot of handles going up to, like maybe 35 fishing or whatever level I did. I got a lot of Baronite handles, and those alch for 8k. They high alch for 8k, and I think they low alch for like 5k. I redeemed most of mine for shards so that I could get the rest of the rewards quicker. Probably wouldn't have done that if I realized how easy the shards are to get from the smithing and mining. Let me see, I bet I still have a ton left over. I sometimes keep these little things as collectible stacks. Yeah, I have like 21k, and a lot of these came from fighting golems, but it's from smithing and mining, like you just get so many so fast. And so of course I did the early mining levels to get the Baronite piece, and it's again not like a terrible XP method at early levels. Everything takes so long to mine because you'll just like fail on like iron ore by, I don't know what level you stop failing iron ore, but it's probably like 40 or 50 that you'll just get it every time. So it was a nice, like pretty easy early level grind, and got some cheap smithing XP. And then finally, of course, there was golems, which I've probably said in the past, like I wish the body golems dropped body talismans, so at least they'd be like maybe more economically viable. They're like close to good, but they're just not that good. For an Iron Man, I think most people would rather take the prayer XP from just fighting more giants or ogresses over the passive runecrafting XP, because the fact is the golems just, you get no prayer XP. They have no Asher bones. You don't get body talismans, which is annoying because that could really help. That could be acceptably good moneymaker for a reg, especially like a low to mid-level reg, or just drive those prices down. And it could even like help bank prayer XP for irons, because irons are basically trading their crafting through tiaras anyway. So if you're banking a lot of tiaras, you could actually find a use for them. But it's like if you do the math on how much runecrafting XP you get, I know I did this math before and I've like simply forgotten it, but I want to say it worked out to something like if you trained all 99 melees at the golems, then I think you'd get enough runecrafting XP for like 80 runecrafting, or maybe like low 80s. It ends up being something like 20 to 1 runecrafting to combat to runecrafting XP. So I did that for a little bit in some of the early levels. I did again a bunch of combat here, which I don't think was necessarily a bad decision. But for something where you have to still do a bunch of clicking, I realized that combat, if I was going to do a bunch of clicking, I'd probably rather still do giants for the time being. XP rate's probably a little better, and the keys are fun. I've been, collecting some of those keys, and if I really cared, then I would go to like ogresses instead. But it's also just so easy to go and AFK at flush crawlers, and the benefit from getting the shards, the bone, rather not the shards, the bone fragments, is that that's also just really helping bank runecrafting XP in a similar way. I've talked about how even if you try and buy bone fragments, you'll be spending a long time buying them. And like I said, I get a little over 180 experience per inventory. That means I basically need like 67k more total bone fragments for 99. And I believe in my bank I dipped just below 15k. So a lot to go, and I probably will have to buy some at some point, but maybe not. I don't really know how many. I could compute the rate without too much trouble. I don't really know how many like bone fragments I would expect to get if I did say 99 melees all at flush crawlers, which I also don't expect to do, but I probably will do like half of my melees at flush crawlers, and I might even do some ranged there. I did accumulate a pretty good amount of like mithril arrows because they're dirt cheap, so it's just an arrow that I could use there and not feel bad about leaving on the ground. It would be hurting my DPS a little bit, but with flush crawlers, there's such like a drop off to your DPS anyway because you're limited by their health bar that it's not that big a deal. It wouldn't make sense to like actively fight flush crawlers rather than really passively, but I believe it was Tanner that put up a video recently, found kind of interesting, where he was fighting hill giants and actually switching to the RPG when they were below 8 health, because RPG being 3 tick, it was better for him to try and it made sense DPS wise to try and like kick them to death when they're below a certain health, because the like tick you'd save is like worth the higher max damage rolls from the other weapon, scimitar. Seriously, you hear those dogs? Terrific. I think the only other, well, I gained a prayer level and a fire making level, but I said I was going to do that because in the last video I was wrapping up the prayer grind to 70, so I did take care of that, and I really don't know when I'll continue training prayer further. A little bit passively from some combats here and there, I'm sure, but giants still like not my favorite. Ogresses, I haven't meleeed them before. I'm not really good at like prayer flicking, so I don't know. And then I did get one woodcutting level, just kind of AFK grinding one day. So not like a ton of gains, but I'm hoping to get through this gem stack pretty soon. Get some nice crafting levels locked in. Maybe I'll even, if I get close, because again, I think this gets me to about 89. Yeah, probably not that close to 89. Probably ends up being like 87. Actually, yeah, it would make sense that it's about 87. If I have a little under 1.2 mil banked, 87 should be right around 4 mil XP. So, okay, so it'll get me to like 87, but we'll see how good I'm feeling about it. I might go for the next, million of XP and go for 90 this month. And if not, then I'll leave it where it is. I probably will end up getting some passive magic, and again, I'd still like to get that 80 runecrafting, and of course, once I get it, we'll be right back to where we started a little bit ago, where it's just we go from runecrafting and prayer as the last to base 70 to just prayer. I guess fire making wasn't base 80 before, but it's gonna be just prayer, and I don't know if I'll muster up the motivation to train it, but maybe I will. I think if I keep training with maple logs and I go for this prayer, I actually think that it's like pretty close to 99 fire making will get me the 80 prayer. So I could kind of disguise it as going for 99 fire making and just squeeze the prayer in there on its own. But we'll kind of see how I feel about that. Anyways, I think maybe the last thing I want to talk about, this is already getting to be a little bit of a longer video, but I don't have that many updates. One thing I thought was really interesting, I recently watched Dan Olson's new video, It's Rude to be Bad at World of Warcraft, which was a very interesting long form, well, we'll call it a video essay. I treated it more like a podcast about the concept of like instrumental play and the way that sort of the World of Warcraft metagame has evolved, and RuneScape is very much in like a similar state where the game has been increasingly optimized for the past many years. I really say like the high level skilling community started optimizing RuneScape well before EOC, and it's only gotten kind of more optimal since. I do enjoy, for example, watching JCW and Hebox Zhang's speedrun, Max Cape speedruns. I look forward to their update videos every week or so because I think it's really satisfying to watch that progress and interesting to see some of the crazy multi-skilling methods they come up with. But I do live like vicariously through them because I don't particularly enjoy RuneLite plugin-scape. You might have noticed that I always play on the like original official client, and I don't use any like plugins. It definitely makes certain things tougher. If I ever really wanted to do stuff like 2 ticking or 2.6 ticking woodcutting, stuff like that, or like trying out like 2 tick oaks, I probably would use some plugins to help with a little bit of that. Things like being able to see my true tile as I go between the chunks, that would be like useful, and knowing when the snow is going to like despawn and things like that. But for the most part, I don't worry myself too much about it. Oh, I forgot to say my classic trademark intro that you're all looking forward to every day, that I'm your favorite inefficient reg. I'm inefficient because I play this game just how I enjoy to play this game. I still like seeing the progress, but I'm not, I only put like so many hours a week into this game. It's a pretty variable amount, but, I think this month so far I've really probably only played like 30 hours. Not a ton in the scheme of things. Not at all. So, and even when I played this account its most, I was probably still playing. Actually, I was probably playing a decent amount of hours then. Although again, they were inefficient hours, so I was probably getting like 10 to 15 EHP per week. But, you know, regardless, it's play this game how I enjoy to. I do still hope to maybe like someday max. I know that's like so far off on the horizon, but in some way it's like not that far. I was thinking to myself, the fact that I'm base 80s and almost everything, you know, everything except the prayer and the runecrafting. It's almost like a home stretch in a way. Like there's really just 19 levels to go on most of these stats. In some cases, a lot less than that. And for the fast ones, you know, I can still. That's a point where even in the 90s, you can get like one level per play session. I mean, like cooking, it's probably like 800k a level now, but that's like 2 hours of wines. You know, it can still be done. Smithing, kind of same thing, and even the kind of slower skills, like, you know, if I put my mind to it, like 200k mining XP, I can definitely knock that out in a day if I just really take the time for it. Even runecrafting, you know, I've been trying to, on the sessions where I did play, most of this grinding, even though I got 3 levels, was done in probably like 4 sessions, where I just kind of, again, set my mind to it and try and knock out, you know, 2 hours of runecrafting, and that ends up being like 60k XP, and then, you know, you chip away at it. So it's still at a point where like one good play session or one good day like could get me a level. This crafting, I mean, I've gotten 60k XP probably while this video's been going on. I'll have to roll back the tapes to see, but you know, 14, I think 93 is the max total. In one way, we're really far, but another way, you know, this can inch down a little bit every single month, and I think I'll be looking at, you know, 1300 before I know it, and then I think I'll be looking at 1400 before I know it. So, anyways, thanks to all of you who tuned in for this lengthy update video. I hope you enjoy, and I'll see you guys next month.